I'm so humbled and thankful for the last 7 years and those who helped make it happen. But tonight, Wisconsin, I want to focus on the work we still have left to do.
Right now at 10, Governor Tony Evers delivers his final State of the State address, what accomplishments he's touting, and how Republicans are responding.
And it is primary election night here in Wisconsin. We'll have the results from several key races.
And he went from foster care to putting his imprint on the Madison skyline. Meet the man using his own past to change the future for others. It's all ahead on News 3 Now at 10. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Eric Franke.
And I'm Sarah Carlson. Tonight, Governor Tony Evers delivered his final State of the State address.
Our political reporter, Ellie LaLiberte, was there and joins us live now with a breakdown. And Ellie, each year the governor gives a theme to the year. What did he have to say about 2026?
Eric, the governor dubbed this the year of the neighbor, highlighting our Wisconsin community. But that message of togetherness didn't stop him from taking swings at Republican leadership.
Thank you. Thank you.
After a brief introduction,
Hello there, Wisconsin.
Governor Tony Evers quickly urging lawmakers to stay in Madison throughout the year.
Folks, I know many of you are up for the election, but here's the deal.
As the assembly is set to adjourn by the end of the week.
Wisconsinites have high expectations for the work we can do together over the next 10 months, and they should.
Right now, the governor and top Republicans in the legislature are negotiating a property tax relief plan. The Assembly Speaker and Majority Leader sending a letter to the governor Monday with their terms, but leaving out the $450 million for general school aid Governor Evers asked for.
I'm hoping we can continue building on those efforts this session, including reaching bipartisan agreement on a plan to get meaningful resources to our K through 12 schools and provide property tax relief at the same time. And it must balance these important obligations a heck of a lot better than the plan Republican leaders sent me this week.
Republicans have long blamed the governor's 2023 partial veto that allows school districts to raise the levy limit for 400 years for increasing property taxes.
I'll go 10 toes with any lawmaker about school funding. My 400-year veto isn't an automatic property tax increase, folks.
But Governor Evers also using the address to tout the work of his 2 terms in office, from housing to tourism and education funding to the Republican-introduced tax credits that he signed into law. The governor ending his speech with the message of the year.
We're all in this together, and we're going to get through this together, not by alienating our neighbors, but by getting to know them.
Now, while one side of the room stood up to cheer for the governor, the other remained relatively quiet. In response to the governor's critiques of the Republican proposal, Assembly Speaker Robin Vos told reporters that Republicans tried to meet in the middle.
He wanted money for property tax relief. There's 2 ways to do it. The school levy credit, which we proposed, is actually bigger than his proposal. And then we also put other things in that he's wanted, which is funding for SNAP positions, making sure that we have funding for disaster relief, and an income tax rebate for every single person in the state who pays income taxes. So it seems to me we tried very hard to reach in the middle. Now it's the governor's job after a pretty partisan speech.
Vos also adding the governor took credit for the bipartisan tax cuts. Now, as I mentioned, the assembly is set to adjourn later this week, but the governor announcing tonight he will call a special session this spring. The goal of that will be to take up a constitutional amendment to bar partisan gerrymandering in Wisconsin. Eric and Sarah.
All right, thank you so much, Ellie LaLiberte. Let's now turn to the forecast. The First Warn Weather Team tracking thunderstorms tonight.
Alex, when will these active conditions roll on in?
It will take a couple more hours before that chance of thunderstorms makes it into southern Wisconsin. They've been struggling showers today because we have a lot of dry air in place. With dry air, those drops fall through the atmosphere. They try to weten that atmosphere up, but they also fizzle as they move through that dry air. And that's why these showers this evening have been up against a battle. And those thunderstorms later tonight as we put Future Track into motion. Notice as we head towards 2-3 o'clock in the morning, we start to see things light up right over Madison, I-39 and I-94. It's very quick. It's really between about, let's say, 2:30 in the morning and about 4:30 in the morning that we see that window of opportunity for a few thunderstorms. Far southwest Wisconsin, you may not have any thunderstorms at all. Madison areas to the north and east, you may have a little better chance of hearing some rumbles of thunder and seeing some flashes of lightning during the early morning hours of Wednesday. Wednesday. And then it's odd here. It's very, very quick opportunity. And we've been seeing that in the forecast for about a better part of 10 days and seeing another weather system number 2 as well. Before that other weather system, we have one more real nice day. Madison areas to the south, highs up near 60, a bit on the breezy side. Cooler to the north, 40s up towards Camp Douglas, up towards the Adams area. It's that cooler area that's going to come into play as we head into Thursday, where we have two sides of this weather system that we're going to have to deal with. One, some thunderstorms. We can't rule out a strong storm near the Wisconsin-Illinois border. And then on the backside, those storms changing over to some wet snow. Could see some slushy snow accumulation, enough of it that we're keeping an eye on the possibility of alert day conditions for later Thursday night and early Friday. All depends on the track of that weather system. More on that weather system and when I come back in just a couple of minutes.
Alex, thank you. Next at 10, it is spring primary night across Wisconsin.
And we have our eyes on several races here in the southern counties, including the race to fill Supreme Court Justice Susan Crawford's former seat. Incumbent Ben Jones received about 53% of the vote and will face off against Fitchburg immigration attorney Huma Asan come the general election April 7th. We're also tracking 3 primary races for Dane County supervisor seats. District 12 incumbent Tommy Rylander got 52% of the vote and will face Sean Burke.
And there's also a race for the supervisor seat in District 15. That would be parts of Madison's west side, also parts of Middleton. Incumbent Amy Larson receiving 61% of the vote and will move on to the general election along with challenger Nino Amato. While in the race for Dane County Board District 28, that's Western Dane County, incumbent Michelle Doolin receiving 73% of the vote. Nathan McGree will be joining her on the ballot in April.
Down in Rock County, there's one race for District 29 supervisor. Challenger Zach Pfaffenbach has nearly 53% of the vote. Incumbent Kathy Schultz will also move on to the general election. And in Juneau County, District 13's incumbent supervisor Eugene Morris got 50% of the vote and will run against Raymond Weissley to retain his seat.
In Sauk County, there are 2 races for supervisor positions in District 3 in northern Sauk County. Incumbent Lynn Ebert is not running for re-election. Brock Pelton, with 52% of the vote, will move on to the April election along with Nina Taluk. And Sauk County Board District 23 race, that's the Spring Green area. It doesn't get much closer than this. Incumbent Dennis Polivka advances, as does Dave Terpstra, who topped Ray Ring by, look at that number, just 2 votes. Now, if you're looking for more election coverage in races happening throughout the News 3 Now viewing area, you can see all of tonight's primary race results for free through our Channel 3000 mobile app.
In other news of the day, tributes have been pouring in for civil rights leader and trailblazing presidential candidate Jesse Jackson. According to his nonprofit, Jackson died peacefully this morning in Chicago. He was 84 years old. Friends and colleagues of the late Reverend are vowing to keep hope alive.
When Dr. King died, was killed in '68, he was talking to Jesse Jackson and Ben Branch over the rail at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis. He was 12 years younger than King, as I was 13 years younger than him. And he would always challenge me that your generation's got to do what John Lewis and all of us that were younger than Dr. King did.
Reverend Jesse Jackson made some notable visits to Wisconsin as well. In 2011, he rallied thousands of protesters during the Act 10 protests at our state capitol and marched alongside them. He also spoke in Kenosha as recent as 2020 following the shooting of Jacob Blake and the protests that followed. Reverend Dr. Alex G. says Jackson's story is inspirational.
Reverend Jackson, like many others, were leaders and influencers who happened to be black. But his leadership and his scope reached much further than just the black community. He sought a better America and a better world.
The Rainbow Push Coalition says that it will announce arrangements for celebration of life services, including public events.
Tonight, as News 3 Now continues to recognize Black History Month, we meet a young Madison real estate developer who is set to make his own history.
Park Lofts is rising along the 1200 block of Park Street, but many of the units in that building will provide new homes for a unique group of residents.
And the man behind it is using his own journey as his inspiration.
A lot of my life in the early stages was with my mom, in halfway houses, different organizations, YWCA, once she was released from prison. And so we kind of took that path and walked that walk together.
It's been a meteoric rise from a childhood in foster care to Madison real estate developer for 30-year-old Julian Walters.
Here will be the property management and the leasing office.
Okay.
In that far corner, we'll have a fitness center. Being from this community, being a black developer in this community where there's few, being raised on the south side and having a development right here, people are going to be able to drive past this and see something and say, hey, I can be what I want to be.
He's the driving force behind Park Lofts. 44 units rising along Madison's South Park Street corridor. 11 of those homes will be set aside for those transitioning out of foster care. And it's much more than just a place to finally call home.
To be able to provide this space for them to grow and to have some sort of support it's unreal, and we're not taking that lightly. We want to make sure that they feel supported.
Each time he drives by, his dream inching closer to reality.
When I drive past it, I smile every time, because I know the work that went behind it, and I remember when it was just an infield lot, it was just grass. And so to see the vision come to fruition is beautiful. Once that 5th floor gets framed, we're rocking and rolling.
A vision more than just a building, a vision so that others can walk an easier path than he did not so long ago.
When you think about not having an adult or someone that you can count on to kind of lead you through those young years, someone needs to kind of help and step in. And if we can provide that and be a solution while providing housing for, the broader community as well, sign me up for it.
Julian's company, Eminent Development, is partnering with Just Dane. That's for support services in the building. Lutheran Social Services will be the property management partner. Those remaining 33 units will be reserved for those making no more than 60% of Dane County's median income. And it'll feature studios, 1 and 2 bedroom units. They hope to open it in late summer or early fall.
Tremendous young man.
Impressive person, indeed.
Coming up next at 10, it's the biggest party of the year on the Gulf Coast as the Mardi Gras celebrations kick off.
And a change-up in the Green and Gold's leadership. What's next for the Packers special teams after Rich Bisaccia announces his departure?
And Alex tells us about the storms coming for southern Wisconsin when we come back.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
You are taking a, oh my goodness, look up at this. Live look at Bourbon Street in New Orleans as millions on the Gulf Coast celebrate Mardi Gras before the season of Lent. It starts in a couple of hours, maybe 1 hour there, right? I don't know the times there.
Central Time.
Yeah. Anyway, social clubs called Crews throw parades for weeks leading up to this Fat Tuesday. Mardi Gras in the U.S. started in 1703 in Mobile, Alabama, where it remains a major cultural tradition. Did I say that right?
Mobile, big party going on down on Bourbon Street. And today, of course, Fat Tuesday for Wisconsinites. It's one of the only days they can get an authentic punchki from local bakeries. Greenbush has been around now for nearly 30 years, and Fat Tuesday, one of its busiest days of the year. And in addition to the traditional prune-flavored punchki, the family-owned business also made custard, apple, cherry, and strawberry flavors as well.
Makes me hungry. Oh, that's right. We got to talk about the weather now. It's been warning us for over a week. We've got storms on the way.
Alex, what's the latest on these incoming weather systems heading our way?
And they have some similarities to them. Both have chances for thunderstorms. We have the chance of thunderstorms tonight. I think it was not last Thursday, but the Thursday, the week prior. I'm like, weather models are in agreement. We could have some thunderstorms as we head into tonight's time frame. And then as weather models continue to evolve, it showed another weather system, and that's in the picture as part of the 3 things you need to know for Thursday night, with more thunderstorms changing over to wet snow, especially for areas north and west of Madison. But where are tonight's thunderstorms right now? We're keeping an eye out in Iowa, but these showers have been struggling. The air is so dry. We may see only isolated thunderstorms as we head a little bit later into the evening. We're watching a cold front out to the west, moving rapidly to the east and northeast, and that's going to be the lift for some showers and some thunderstorms as we head a little bit later into the overnight period. What we're having out there right now are just a few raindrops. Again, the air is awfully dry out there, so as those drops fall through that dry air, a lot of them evaporate before they hit the ground. And you need that atmosphere to be wet enough for showers and thunderstorms to materialize. So let's go through this very slowly. 1 o'clock, maybe a rumble or 2 of thunder up towards Camp Douglas. As we head towards 2, 3 o'clock, look how quick that window of opportunity is for a thunderstorm, and that really stretches from Camp Douglas to the Dells to Madison, right along east along I-94, that best chance for some thunder, some lightning, maybe some small hail from some of those storms. not expecting severe weather. And then it's out of here. In fact, by the time we head towards 6 o'clock in the morning and towards noon, look at that. All the clouds clear out from much of the area, especially from the Dells and Madison and areas to the south. And that's going to allow the mercury to rise one more time. So some isolated thunderstorms are expected, especially from Madison and areas towards the north and towards the east, towards that 2:30, 3:30, 4:30 time frame. And high temperatures tomorrow, especially from Madison areas to the south. One more day, getting up right around 60 degrees, but it will be breezy. Winds gusting at times 35 to 40 miles per hour. Not going to be shocked to see a wind advisory for parts of the area. We have wind advisories in effect for parts of northeast Iowa and northwest Illinois. Then we turn our attention to weather system number 2, more storms, some wet snow, and maybe some slick spots. 3 things you need to get out of that next possible alert day scenario as we head a little bit later into Thursday afternoon. Notice the showers and thunderstorms, especially from the Dells and Lone Rock and Boscoville and areas to the south and to the east. Then that rain snow line pivots in from northwest to southeast with a batch of maybe some slushy wet snow as we end that weather system. Keeping an eye out for alert day conditions, mainly north and west of Madison, where that more persistent, wet, slushy snow is expected Thursday night. We can take this nice and full screen here, that once we get past this weather system, as we head out into next week, temperatures staying realistically in the 30s to right around 40, not the 50s and 60s, but guess what? 50s and 60s, they will be back. I can guarantee that once we get a little bit further into March, for
and
sure.
At least not 30 below. So
no, not 30 below this time.
All right, thank you, Alex.
Thanks, Alex. Well, Packer fans have long been critical of the play of the special teams under special teams coordinator Rich Bisaccia, who tonight decided to leave the team.
That's right. News 3 Now's senior Packers writer Jason Wilde has more details about this sudden departure.
The Packers will have a new special teams coordinator in 2026 as Packers head coach Matt LaFleur announces tonight that Rich Bisaccia, who has held the special teams coordinator role for the past 4 seasons, is stepping down. Now, Bisaccia says he made this decision after a few weeks of reflection, and nowhere in his statement does he say that he is retiring. He does not give specifics as to why he is stepping down, and it's a little bit of a surprise in terms of the timing. This happens over a month after the season ended, and a few weeks after general manager Brian Gutekunst spoke at length about the importance of Rich Bisaccia, both in terms of the special teams units and the team's culture.
What Rich brings to this our culture, this football team, is just it's really, he's a very impactful coach around here. Certainly, I thought we've been better on teams the last few years than we've been in a long time. Our cover units have been better. We got one of the best punters in the National Football League. We've got an excellent snapper. Now, I got a lot of faith in Rich and his staff, what they do around here. Not only the X's and O's and what they bring to the field, but what they bring to this place culturally is really important.
Now, while Bisaccia was also the team's assistant head coach for the last 3 seasons, his departure as special teams coordinator and the timing of it is a little bit challenging here. 10 different head coaches were hired this cycle, and they've hired their special teams coordinators, which means the pickings could be slim for a replacement. One of those teams that got a new head coach also hired former Packers lieutenant Byron Storer, who had been the #1 assistant behind Bisaccia and who would have been the logical replacement given the timing of this change. He is now with the Cleveland Browns. We've got more on this story and everything else Packers on our website, channel3000.com. And while you're there, make sure you sign up for the Packers newsletter, which delivers our coverage directly to your inbox. In Green Bay, Jason Wilde, channel3000.com.
Jason, thanks. Andrew's here now. Badgers get into the top 25 and go on the road to Columbus. Well, then what?
And hopefully win. Wisconsin men's basketball trying to avoid that very trap and win their 3rd straight. We've got the highlights next on News 3 Now.
And now, News 3 Now Sports, brought to you by TDS Telecom.
When you win the games that no one expected you to win, like Wisconsin men's basketball has been doing lately, it's just as important that you follow that up by winning the games that you're supposed to win. And you couldn't pick a better example of that than playing Ohio State. It's not that they're bad, it's just that you should certainly beat them if you're Wisconsin. We pick things up 7 minutes to go in the first half. Bucky trailing by 9, and John Blackwell drains a triple. but the chase continued. A few minutes later, Ohio State on an 8-0 run, now leading by a dozen, and Nolan Winter knifes back into that lead. But it just seemed every time Bucky punched, the Buckeyes punched back harder, and the Badgers fall into their own trap. After beating 2 top 10 teams, they lose to another average squad and do it by a lot. 86-69 is the final. Well, it is that time of year where dreams are made on the wrestling mat. Heading into state for Belmont Platteville, this go-around just means more than wins and losses, because they aren't just wrestling for themselves.
Last summer, Belmont Platteville Wrestling lost 2 pillars of their program in Jerry Rat Amenda.
They were both such good proponents of the program. I mean, Rat was the biggest fan of BP Wrestling you could have.
And Will Schaefer.
Will had grown up with the program his whole life, like since he was in kindergarten.
After Will graduated high school, we had a really good heavyweight, and I needed a practice partner for him, so I called Coach Schaefer up and asked him if he wanted to come coach, and he did, and coached with me since then and until this summer when he passed away.
Losing a beloved member of their Belmont Platteville family suddenly and unexpectedly at just 23 years old.
I definitely idolized Coach Schaefer, so I know for me and the rest of the team that was a big loss, but I know all of us know that he's still with us every day, every practice, and every match.
They turned tragedy into triumph.
For this year, my motto has kind of been, it's like bigger than for myself. We're definitely doing it with a purpose this year, and we know he's in our corner.
Turning tears into a rallying cry.
It's not something that you plan for. You know, you can feel that there's something greater going on.
For this season and beyond.
You know, I can truly say I don't know if this program would be where it's at right now without him.
Their impact will be left way longer than their time was with it.
Well, in honor of both Jerry and Will, the Belmont Platteville wrestling team held a fundraiser in November, raising $42,000 for mat singlets and potential scholarships through a fishboil, silent auction, and merchandise sales. We'll be right back.
So we've got some rain coming.
Hopefully we can get a couple of drops out there. Believe it or not, we're still in drought conditions. Can you believe that? And they have fires out west right now raging in Kansas and in Oklahoma, but our rain chances tonight, showers and maybe a couple isolated thunderstorms, especially right around 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I-39, I-94, Dalles, Madison, areas off towards the north, towards the east. Best chance for some lightning, maybe a little small hail with some of these few isolated thunderstorms. But it's not the only chance for adverse weather. Thursday evening and night and going into Friday, some rain and thunderstorms changing to wet snow.
All right, thank you, Alex, and thanks for watching News 3 Now at 10. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert is next.
Our next newscast is tomorrow morning starting at 4:30. There's Mardi Gras. We always keep that camera at a safe distance. Have a great night, folks.